Where are all the activists from the days I remember, 25 years ago, when they passed the horrible DMCA and that horrible corrupt judge Lewis Kaplan declared the computer code was not free speech in Universal v. Corley and stopped the DCSS software, which was going to enable Linux users to play their legally purchased DVDs on their legally purchased computers? And that horrible free speech hating decision caused a humongous uproar on the internet. Well, we need that uproar again because exactly the same thing is happening. And yes, they're mentioning Universal v. Corley directly. They're relying on it. That one that we spent years protesting. Where are all the people that were protesting this? If you run into any of them, let them know about this. Say, hey, you remember that whole Universal v. Corley thing? You remember the whole DCSS thing? It's still around and they're still trying it. They're just trying it now with AI instead of DVDs. So we've looked at this. The plaintiff suing Suno amended their complaint to add in all the DMCA stuff. Because as they said directly, and as we quoted them directly, fair use is not a defense. That's what they want to do, cut off fair use at the knees. Suno responded, so this is UMG and the rest of the RIAA replying back to them. And we will start over here at the bottom of page 6 of the PDF and you will see it directly. Quote, fair use has never been held to be a guarantee of access to copyrighted material in order to copy it by the fair user's preferred technique or in the format of the original. What's he citing? Boom, Corley. Yep, Universal v. Corley, quoting Judge Lewis A. Kaplan. Suno could have lawfully acquired copies of the sound recordings at issue, for instance, by purchasing them, and then argued that its subsequent copying for AI training was fair use. It chose instead to circumvent YouTube's TPMs. So again, the only way you can have fair use is if they let you. You have to get it in a way that they want. No! Fair use is always unauthorized. That's the point of fair use. When can you use it without authorization? If you have authorization to get it, then fair use is completely nullified. How many times do I have to point this out? How many different ways do you have to see it? How many different times do they have to do it before people will wake up and start sharing these videos and start sharing this content and start letting other people know that these horrible things are happening that are going to destroy our online free speech? So, as I pointed out in my previous coverage, the DMCA is about access control, not copy controls. And access control, usually when sensible people use the term, is like having to put in a password or something. But as we see here, now they're going to define it so broadly it means anything. Access is not all or nothing. A measure can control access if it regulates the manner and conditions under which access occurs, as opposed to barring access altogether. Section 1201A's text confirms this. Congress chose the word control, not prevent. Control means to exercise restraining or directing influence over. Thus, a measure that restrains, directs, or influences access qualifies as an access control. So then, anything is an access control. And if you remember what we're talking about here, like I showed in my previous coverage, what are we talking about? We're talking about hitting the F12 key and copying a link. There is no access control there. If you're making a normal, everyday HTTP GET request, and you send that request to the server, I want this video, and YouTube's server says, okay, here you go. There's no access control there. You didn't have to type in a password. You didn't have to decrypt anything. It just gave it to you. They made it a little difficult. You have to go through a couple of steps, but that's copy control, not access control. YouTube's TPMs similarly provide restricted access to the music videos on its platform. While users can access a page URL to stream music videos on an ad-supported basis within YouTube, they cannot reach the video file itself that is played within the page, which resides at a distinct encrypted file URL that you can easily get because it's not actually encrypted. Through this system, YouTube controls how users may interact with or access copyrighted works, restricting other forms of access such as offline playback, mobile playback, ad-free viewing, evasion of territorial and age restrictions, and direct downloads. In other words, it's a copy control, not an access control. So they define access control so broadly, it encompasses copy control. So why does the law have a distinction to begin with? Suno deliberately picked this lock. It's not a lock! It's a picture of a lock drawn on in crayon. That's what I showed before. As long as it's LARPing as a lock, they're going to say it counts as a lock. Suno circumvented YouTube's encryption. There's no encryption. To rip copyrighted audio files from the music videos. Again, all you have to do is send YouTube the URL, and they send you back the video. You have access already. Being able to get it with a simple GET request means you have access. Do you see what they're doing? Do you see how ridiculous this is? And this is how they're going to completely cut off fair use. This is the catch-22 I mentioned. You can do anything you want with a song without authorization as long as it fits within the confines of fair use. But if you can't get the song to begin with, then that whole process gets cut off at the knees. Whereas in reality, the precedent, as we saw in Cadre v. Meta, is that if what you're doing is fair use, if your ultimate use is fair, it doesn't matter how you got it. And that was a big reason for all the protests of the DMCA when it came out, is because it cut that off at the knees. And this is what they're going to pretend here at the bottom of page 14. Suno warns that plaintiff's reading of section 1201A1 would extend the statute beyond its intended scope and eviscerate the doctrine of fair use. That prediction is unfounded. Suno conflates two distinct causes of action, copyright infringement and unlawful circumvention. Infringement under Section 106 concerns unauthorized copying and distribution and is subject to a fair use defense. Section 1201A1, by contrast, targets the act of circumventing a TPM that controls access to a copyrighted work. Nothing in plaintiff's theory collapses those inquiries or eliminates fair use for any subsequent copying. In other words, they say all use needs to be authorized, which means fair use is dead. And I'll remind you that the only way Judge Kaplan could get to that horrible decision is by denying that computer code was a form of speech. And since computer code wasn't speech, they could do what they did. Well, what are we talking about here? We're talking about songs. Songs are a form of speech. We are absolutely talking about speech. So do you see how one bad precedent leads to others? If Suno wanted fair use to shield it from liability entirely, it could have acquired its training data lawfully. Instead, it chose a cheaper and faster route, stream ripping from YouTube. Again, fair use is unauthorized use. Always. If it's authorized, then fair use doesn't enter into it. Fair use is always about what you can do with unauthorized access. Always. It's always unauthorized. But what are they saying here? They're saying, sure, you can stop flying bombing missions if you're insane. Oh, but if you want to stop flying bombing missions, that means you're not insane. If Suno truly believed that prohibiting stream ripping under Section 1201A1 would chill fair use, its remedy lies with the Library of Congress. Why do they have the power and not the courts? They're a bunch of bookkeepers. What do they have to do with anything? Which can grant class-specific exemptions through the rulemaking process, but such an exemption would be inconsistent with Section 1201A1's core purpose. Okay, so you're admitting that they can't do it actually, because it would be inconsistent with the law, because they have to follow the law. Backing with legal sanctions the efforts of copyright owners to protect their works from piracy behind digital walls. Where's the digital wall here? I mean, there wasn't really one in Corley either, because in Corley, you were using just what you were given on the DVD itself. Okay, here's the DVD, here's the key, we do the thing. Yeah. You were given it. They just gave it to you. Well, here, it's the same thing, only it's a simple GET request. It's like, hey, can I have this? Sure. And now that's a violation somehow. But you gave it to them. YouTube just said, here you go, take it. So here we are. They are once again relying on that very case, Universal v. Corley, not even trying to hide it, to completely cut off fair use as a defense. Suno, according to the plaintiffs, cannot claim fair use now because of this. All you anti-AI people, what do you have to say about this? How can you possibly justify this? What possible justification is there for this? There isn't one, and you know it. And you know it, so come on. Everyone, let's get some sense in our heads. And where are the activists? Come on, activists, we need to start making a stink again. We did it before, we can do it again. I'm just one guy, though. This only works when we operate en masse like we did before. So let's go and do it. I hope we will. Thank you so very much for watching. Comments for the Comic God, shares for the Share Throne. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. And of course, donate.bogosity.tv keeps me doing what I do, whether it's one-time donations or regular support. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, stay strong and be free.